J&R Sports Lounge.
This is the J&R Sports Lounge. No scripts, no filters, just straight sports talk. Episode 10 starts right now.
J&R Sports Lounge.
Welcome to episode 10 of the J&R Sports Lounge. I'm your host, Joe Huzar. This is my co-host, Randy Curry. Every week we talk about a bunch of sports. Then this has been a crazy week in general. A lot going on. But before we get into all that, how you doing, buddy? You good?
I'm doing good. You know, I'm excited to talk about what we have to talk about today as a Giants fan. I'm wearing my jersey of LT, an all-time great. Kind of thought that Dex would be an all-time great, but I guess that's not going to happen.
Very surprising. So I know we talked in episode 9 about Dexter Lawrence specifically and his trade request from the Giants. And the news is that he got dealt. He got dealt
Right.
to the Cincinnati Bengals. And when I looked up the news, it was for the number 10 pick in the upcoming draft. So has there been any other part of that deal? Is it more than just that first round pick? That's all it is.
As far as I know, it's just the 10th. I mean, that's what the Giants said they wanted. They said they wanted a top 10 pick. I honestly did not think they would get one. I'm almost relieved that we were able to get one. I say we as if I'm part
I'm a
of the
little
team,
surprised that all they got was a one first round pick for him.
Right. I mean, it's a guy that's basically in the prime of his career, as far as his age and what he's done up to this point. I will say last year was a little bit of a down year for him, as far as like the stats and like me watching every play that they do. He wasn't as impactful as he has been in the past, but like in the past, he's taken games over from the D tackle spot, which does not happen much. There's only a couple guys that can do that. He didn't really seem to dominate as much. You know, there were plays where it was like, wow. But other plays where, you know, it just seemed like he just didn't have the desire as much. And perhaps it had to do with, you know, what's going on here with the contract and how he was disgruntled.
So, you know, it's funny because you bring up the contract part, okay? So we knew that was one of the reasons why he might be traded. And that's why he was disgruntled, because he wasn't getting a deal. And so when he got dealt to the Bengals, they signed him to an extension. But the extension is for 1 year for $28 million. You can't tell me, honestly, that the Giants couldn't give him a 1 year, $28 million deal just to keep him happy and keep that production on the field, to keep that defense together playing well. I mean, we talked about this again. Like I said, we talked about Dex last week, like ad nauseum pretty much. But like, you know, we talked about how great their front seven is,
Sure.
right? And with losing Dex, that's a huge loss for them,
Right.
All it took was 1 year and $28 million. Like, that seems a little odd to me that he's willing to leave and re-sign for that little, or just for like such a short-term deal.
But I think his current contract was like for $22 million or 24 or whatever.
But that's the thing is, like, okay, so when he's saying that he wants a bigger contract, I'm assuming that he's looking for a multi-year guarantee.
Right.
And he's signing back for 1 year and maybe making $6 million more a year. Granted, you know, you and I are not millionaires, so like $6 million to us, you know, we can throw these numbers around. But he's not re-signing a long-term extension for long-term comfort and stability. It's a 1 year deal. That's the shocking part, in my opinion, that he couldn't stay with the Giants because of a 1 year deal.
I'm definitely surprised it was just a 1 year deal. I'm actually surprised that the Bengals were able to do this at all, because I thought they had all kinds of money tied up in like a lot of the top offensive players they have.
And they do.
You know, they couldn't keep the edge rusher Hendrickson, right?
Yeah.
So that's a surprise. But I guess once he's traded, I mean,
That opens up some money there. So, I mean, you have money to give to Dex.
Well, see, is getting back to your point as far as like the 1 year thing, like the Giants weren't willing to do that for 1 year. But I think that's more about the fact that the Giants don't consider them to be a win now team. Even though I feel like there's a lot of pieces in place, I feel like they are trying to think about the future in general.
I mean, the Giants have the 5th pick in the draft, so like somebody's gonna come in. Some young player is going to come into that team and be somewhat of a difference maker, hopefully.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Dex doesn't see the future in that. I mean, in all honesty, the Bengals are a good team, right? I'm not going to take anything away from them, but they're notoriously known as a shitty defense.
Right.
Every single year. They're known as a guy or they're known as a team where Joe Burrow throws a shitload of yards.
Right.
And he's got 2 really, really great receivers. and some questionable running possible, some running back
Right.
options there. But it's really about just the two receivers and the quarterback, and that's really all they're known for. I know that, but their defense was already not good with Trey Hendrickson,
Right.
and now he's gone. So I'm not sure if they've really improved their defense with Dex.
Well, the Giants had a terrible run defense last year with Dex. Just to double down on that. I think it comes down to Dex feeling like he should be paid as the top D tackle in the league, or at least above some of the players that ended up sliding above him on the pay scale. He probably feels like he's getting a little bit older. He wanted to take advantage of the situation on some level, even though there's 2 years left on his deal. I think that's kind of what rubbed the Giants the wrong way. The fact that he wasn't willing to play out his deal, or at least get 1 year closer, and then let this all go down next year.
Yeah.
But
That's the NFL though, right? Like they're like NFL contracts are, first of all, a lot of them are non-guaranteed,
right,
and they throw a lot of like deferred money and non-guaranteed money into contracts. And NFL players, in all honesty, they have the shortest lifespan of
Right.
any sport, any athlete in any sport, right? Like baseball, basketball,
Right.
hockey, whatever, soccer. NFL players have such a short contract, and I understand why he wanted the most money and squeeze the most money out of
Right.
next year. I just thought that maybe he'd want to like stick it out with the Giants a little bit more because he sees the future there. They have I think that their offense, it's not great, and they're not a Super Bowl caliber team just yet.
right,
But I mean, Jackson Dart showed a ton of growth. Their running game, whatever. I mean, Malik is coming back. He's standing right behind us, but Malik is coming back next year, fully healthy. Is Wan'Dale Robinson still there?
no,
He's gone, right?
I think he went to the Titans. With
Tennessee, that's
with,
right, that's
with Dable as the OC over there.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck for them.
But now we got
He has a
likely in the
shitty
middle,
quarterback
which,
throwing balls to him, and fucking Cam Ward, who I think is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
I mean, he was his first year last year. Perhaps he'll be able to take a step.
I see him as just like Anthony Richardson, just not a
Interesting.
good QB in general. I
Interesting.
mean, you might have a different take, but
That's a different.
I'm not a big
topic
fan
altogether.
of Cam Ward.
Okay.
So
Well, I mean, hey, I'm happy that we got Dart.
yeah, Jackson Dart's a
in
good
that
player.
same exact draft. I think another piece to this is the Giants haven't really treated, especially on the defensive side, a lot of the players very well, and they've gone elsewhere and they've done well. Leonard Williams is no longer a Giant. He won the Super Bowl along with Julian Love, the safety. McKinney kicked ass for the Packers. There's other players that have left and done really well that we were willing to just get rid of. So it's always been this kind of bitterness, I feel, especially on that side of the ball.
Sure.
And like this lack of confidence that the front office will be able to come through for them.
Okay, so let's talk about what this looks like for the future of the Giants, right? So they have in the draft coming up next week, they have the 5th pick in the draft, and now they have the 10th pick in the draft. I mean,
Right.
that's huge, obviously. But
love it.
again, they are sans one of their best players.
Right.
So how does this what do you think, like as a Giants fan, what do you think that this impact does for the draft? Like, are they going in that direction, a defensive direction with one of those picks?
Just based on like who will be there at those picks, I don't think so. I think that there's a strong chance that they'll go that route for the second round. There's a lot of players that kind of slide in there at that spot, at that stage of the draft. But there's been a lot of talk about downs. There's been a lot of talk about styles. So I mean, they could definitely go defense. And there's been talk about free agents like Reeder, like Shelby Harris, guys with names who are with like names that we know that are more on the back end of their career. Reeder was a Bengal, I think, at one time.
Yeah, that's right. He was
And,
DJ
and
Reader, yeah.
he's known as a guy that could stop the run. Perhaps we'll be able to sign those type of guys, maybe both. Maybe we'll get a player in the second round at that spot. We also have Darius Alexander from last year. He was a 3rd round pick. It's definitely a weak room as it stands now. That's for sure.
I'm trying to gauge like the excitement of this trade from a Giants fan perspective, and I honestly can't, like, from everything that you said so far, I can't tell if you're excited that you got a number 10 pick out of the draft, or that you don't have Dex anymore. Like, I can't tell which is like the better positive here.
It's a little bit in between, because I kind of thought that Dex would be there till the end, just like this guy. I thought he'd be there with the Banks and the Taylors and those types of players on our team. Now he's more like the B.J. Hill.
Yeah, which
is sad.
I don't know who B.J. Hill is, but
he's
cool.
a guy that we also traded to the Bengals for a terrible decent offensive lineman, but they won that deal, that's for sure.
Yeah, because I've never heard this guy.
I can't even think of the offensive player that we got returned. He's like a guard or a center. Oh, it's Billy Price. But anyway, you don't know either of these players.
How long ago was this?
A few years.
Oh, this makes it sound like this was probably like 30 years ago, where I've never heard these guys.
Hill has been good, but he's a D tackle and he's not a star, so that's why you haven't heard of him.
I really like this LT jersey that you got on here.
Nice.
It's real nice.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I never did get a Dex, but I always thought I would, but now I doubt that's gonna ever happen.
Is that new? You just got that?
No, I've had it for a while.
That's pretty
I've
smooth.
probably worn it in front of you before at some point.
Oh, I don't know. It's pretty nice. Like the white on with the blue writing.
Thanks,
it's
man.
pretty sweet.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
I was gonna say something else.
Stop blazing your jersey here.
How was it? How was it about Dex?
Well, you thought he was gonna be there till the end.
Right. I definitely thought that.
What is the end?
So you're trying to take a pulse of how we as fans feel.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's that. There's like that sense of loss there, but more so I feel relief, because I had heard like some reports that we might get a second rounder from Cleveland, which was like, oh wait, hold up, let's not go there.
That was the rumor.
That's what there's like a local Giants thing. I don't want to say the name. I don't know if that's like a thing that you could do, but there were rumors that we wouldn't get much and we'd have to like settle for a second rounder, and I was worried that we would do that just to get something, because things got that bad.
Yeah.
So my overall feel is that I feel relief, that we got something for him that can turn into something.
That's interesting.
And like we don't have to pay him now, and so like that really helps the cap. And we have a chance to get a player that's really good that we don't pay that much for the first few years of their career.
Yeah, I think it's hard to replace a guy like him.
Oh, well, that's why I think it's going to be important for us to not try to do that, to just try to obviously it'd be great to get a great guy on the interior line, but we have to wait for the right time with the right player.
I think I'm still stuck on this extension, that it was such a low number for such a short amount of years. I mean, I thought when I was hearing all the rumors about this was that Dex was unhappy about his contract situation and there was no budging. I mean, the way that John Harbaugh talked about him when he first became the head coach of the Giants was that he's essential to our defense. We need him so badly. Like, not I mean, he didn't say all those things, but he said that he's essential to our defense. We love him. We want him to be part of this defense for a long time. And then they can't work out a 1-year, $28 million deal for him?
Well, that might have been to basically send a message to Dex himself, like through public means that, you're a big part of this. I'm going on air. I'm saying this about you. Just to kind of, it might have been part of the whole thing with the fact that, he heard that Dex was not happy. Dex wanted a new contract. He just kind of wanted to make sure that.
I don't know, man. There's something about like the length and money in that deal. Like, okay, the reason why I keep saying, like, I keep harping on the shortness and the amount is because Will Anderson from the Texans just signed a 3-year, $150 million extension with the Texans.
What does that come out to per?
$50 million per year. 50.
Earn.
And so Dex, I mean, I know that Will Anderson is younger, but Dex is a
position
good
too. Though.
It is. It's a different position, but I mean, but similar impact. And I'm just shocked that by the fact. So, okay, one thing I was thinking when I saw Will Anderson's contract, I'm like, okay, so he's the highest paid non-quarterback in the league now because of that, and he's a guy that like most people don't know who he is, right? Like a lot of like casual NFL fans don't know who he is. Right?
I think that's partly because he's got a boring name.
Well, he also plays for Houston, which is
a
very
team.
like smaller
Right.
not a smaller market team, because I think every NFL team is a big market team because it's the NFL.
Right. But to you and I, it's not that crazy
No, because we know who
because
he
he
is.
looks like a burgeoning player.
I'm just shocked that Dex was willing to take such a short deal for such a low amount of dollars,
Well,
because I thought that he wanted to be paid highly, and that makes me think that even though John Harbaugh came out with a lot of the, and I feel like I'm getting to like conspiracy theory areas here, which I'm not.
You think he was more interested in
But I
what
think
he could
I
get
think
for
he
him?
wanted to leave. I think that
John
that
Harbaugh
Dex
wanted him to leave?
I think Dex wanted to leave, and this was a way to do it. But this was a way for Harbaugh to save face somehow. I mean, why come out and tell everybody that he was such a necessary and needed and part of the defense when a short deal could have got it done anyways? And and John Harbaugh is I know that Joe Shane is there as the GM, but he is basically just a puppet for Harbaugh at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I know he gives out the money, but
That's what everyone says. I mean, I want to give Shane a little bit more credit than that. I don't know why, but I do.
I don't know if he deserves that credit. He
I mean-
should have been gone with Dable.
I mean, there's a lot of people that think that Shane will be gone next year, but I mean, everything I hear as far as the two of them is they work well, they're on the same page, and this and that. But
Well, they're on the
that-
same
that-
page because John Harbaugh runs that show, probably. And this
but
dude wants to keep his job.
it all comes back to the fact that I don't think the Giants really care about paying him for 1 year, or because he this contract. It's not 2 years with the Bengals, right? It's for 1 year.
Just 1 year.
So he had 2 years left with the Giants, so that wipes out a whole year. So I guess he's gonna bet on himself to.
So is that considered an extension at that point?
No,
'Cause it's
that's-
not really an extension, right?
That's what I don't get. That's
Just a
what has to be-
restructure of your current contract to a
Right.
shorter deal so that you can get to free agency quicker.
So I guess he's gonna bet on himself and do that. And
Listen-
try to have a bunch of teams bid on
Listen,
him.
he's 28, right? So he's gonna go into free agency going into his age 29 season, and like, in all honesty, like age 29 to you and I sounds like it's like, oh man, that guy's super young, but in
Yeah,
NFL
fair.
terms, like, that's not that young.
And I think at D tackle too, it's I don't know if it's that old or not. I mean, I feel like we hear about some 35-year-olds that still got it, but when you look at his physique, when you look at
Right.
things about him, I mean, he had a down year last year. I'm kind of happy to get a top 10 pick.
So are you hoping that he shits the bed in Cincinnati
I guess so, kind of.
because he wanted out so badly?
Because it'll just validate the fact that we made this choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't wish him, ill. He's a great guy. He was great for our team. I mean, it's a big loss. He was big in the locker room. It'll definitely be different.
Yeah.
But if we end up with Jeremiah Love and Styles in this draft, well, that probably won't happen. Or like Love or Styles, and then get Downs or whoever, who I think is a potential gold jacket type player. I mean,
Wow.
I'd be real happy.
I remember a long time ago. This is like when Luke Kuechly was coming out of BC, and you and I were just hanging out, like bullshitting or whatever in your kitchen or my kitchen or whatever. You're like, man, Luke Kuechly has that it factor. Like, he's got that Hall of Fame potential, and it happened. And now you're talking about Love as like that same type of player coming out of
Downs is,
Downs. I'm sorry, yeah, that's
but
what you said.
Love too. I mean, honestly.
But you're talking about Downs is like the same type of player. Like, this makes me want to like we're in a fantasy league where we have IDPs.
Right. Well, his instincts.
wanna draft him.
I think Nick Saban said that he was the smartest player he's ever coached, and he was only there for a year.
Yeah.
So I mean, that says a lot. There's been a lot of
Yeah.
heady players that have been through that
Yeah.
program.
So speaking of like shitting the bed, right? The Charlotte Hornets. I know I'm switching topics here like pretty abruptly, but
I wasn't
like,
sure which one you were going to go to because they're both pretty. Both can be said that way.
yeah.
Of
Well,
our two that are coming up, but anyway.
no,
We'll go to the
but
Hornets.
like shitting the bed wise, I was I know we watched the obviously we live in Charlotte, so we're watching the Hornets in the play-in tournament, and they beat Miami, again, when LaMelo had like that quote unquote dirty play
Right.
against Bam Adebayo, who ended up being out for the game after that. In all honesty, I don't see it as a dirty play, but maybe it's because I'm a Hornets fan and I'm kind of looking at it through like
Same.
rose-colored glasses, and
Right.
I mean, he got fined for it, so, but I want the Hornets to be successful. I want this city to be exciting or excited about it. I just the energy that this team had after they beat Miami was on such a high, and they go into play Orlando. They travel Orlando, and they're 3-1 against the Magic this season. And I mean, they were putting up about in those 3 wins, they put up about they averaged about 120, 122 points a game. Wow. So like they were scoring their ass off.
Yeah.
In the first half against the Magic in this game, they scored what? I don't remember the exact number because I was so fucking pissed and my eyes were like bloodshot, like red from anger.
30s.
It was in the 30s.
Yeah.
30s.
Terrible.
Dude, they had 26 points with like 5 minutes to go in the first half. They couldn't hit a fucking shot to save their life. It was embarrassing.
I think the field goal percentage was also in the 30s.
For the entire game.
For the whole game.
Yeah.
I think it was like 50 or whatever. For
I think they were 32% in the first half, and then at some point in the fourth quarter, they showed a stat where they were at 36%. So I'm like, okay, well, they improved some.
Yeah.
But I mean, so I know we talked about Concanipo last week, last episode about the Rookie of the Year stuff, and I know that the play-in tournament and the postseason don't count towards those standings,
right,
or those stats or that award specifically. But he, after the regular season, he disappeared. I mean, in both of those games, he was nowhere to be found. He couldn't hit one shot. LaMelo couldn't hit a three-pointer for his life against the Magic. In all honesty, I have to say this. So I think that was one of the worst Hornets games I have ever watched. And I've lived in Charlotte for almost 20 years, about 20 years at this point. I've been through the Bobcats years. Like, I moved here before the Bobcats were in existence.
Right.
And I was a big Bobcats fan because they had a lot of UConn players. I'm a UConn fan, obviously. I'm from Connecticut. And I loved watching. It was nice to grow with a franchise again when they brought them back to Charlotte. Having said that, in my opinion, was probably the worst Hornets Bobcats performance that I have ever seen, at least in the first half.
Right.
That was a disgrace to shooting, to NBA fans, and just to the game of basketball in general. They're just chucking up threes for I don't know what reason. They're just chucking them up. I'm sorry, I'm going on a little tirade here because that first half pissed me off as a Hornets fan so much.
Right.
They were down 22-10 before you could even blink your eye. And they never got closer.
No. It stayed at about 30 or whatever.
It was a consistent 30.
It stayed there. And then the backups came in at the end of the game, and they maybe had like a 20-point difference at that point and held that. But it was a bad game to watch. I think part of your opinion has to do with the fact that, the expectations are different now. We were wanting to watch that game, actually. We wanted to do well in that game, win that game. But, I mean, the Magic had it from the very start.
Opening tip, yeah.
I felt like their first step was, so quick every time. I felt like the energy that they had on the defensive side led to breaks on the offensive side. Banchero was unreal.
He was unreal, yeah.
He was so powerful. He set the tone for the whole game. Seemed like they were able to drive in the paint and finish. It seemed like when we would drive in the paint, a lot of times we wouldn't finish.
Getting blocked left and right by Banchero, and they had another. They had what's his name? Desmond Bain.
Right.
He was getting steals and he was playing on the perimeter a bit. So he's a really good defensive player. We all know that. So. But he was playing on the perimeter, which is the Hornets' game, right? Like, they've got shooters, right? So they have LaMelo, they have Brandon Miller, they have Khan, who are all playing perimeter, and they're shooting. And Desmond Bain shut them down. Like, you can tell that he got under Miles Bridges' skin very, very much in that game. Miles couldn't get going at all. And I think that, I feel like Miles Bridges being shut down showed you that maybe he is the engine of that team. Because without him, they really couldn't get started.
Right. Well, I mean, he gets a lot of points that aren't really like he gets a lot of points on his own, right? Like that aren't really part of the offense. He just kind of does his thing. Like as the play breaks down, he's good for that. But it wasn't his game this time. Brandon Miller played pretty good, but it seemed like to me, I would watch him try to get back on D. He wouldn't get back. He wasn't paying attention at times. I felt like it was the same for a couple players. I can't think of exactly, but it just seemed like they weren't trying to get back. They would do anything on offense, and then the Magic would just drive the ball down the court.
I mean, I feel like there were like 3-4 possessions straight and multiple times in the game where on 2 or 3, 4 straight possessions, the Hornets would go down the court, chuck up a 3. LaMelo would like drag back. Like Brandon Miller would take a 3. LaMelo would like lackadaisically kind of go back on defense, and the Magic would get the rebound, throw it down the court to an open player, and they just dunk it. And it's those little small plays, like that little 5-point swing there between missing a 3 and putting up that easy transition 2. That's a huge difference.
Right, and it also will take the wind out of your sails as a team.
Yeah,
because it's like pass, or it's like block or whatever, steal, pass, and then they score, and then they kept their heads down. It just seemed like they weren't able to like pick themselves up off the floor.
Stupidly, I felt like I was gonna turn this game off at halftime because it was already like a 30-point game at halftime, or 31 points or whatever it was. But stupidly, I kept the game on, and I'm sitting on the couch like watching the game with my son Carter, and like I noticed myself getting pissed off at him every time he would ask me a question. He's like, oh, why aren't they making shots? Like, why is this happening? Why aren't they calling this foul? Why are they why is the referee calling this play? And I'm like, will you just shut the fuck up and let me watch this game?
Right.
And like they just made me angry to watch this game because the level of effort, especially since January 1st, they were one of the hottest teams in the NBA.
Right.
And I understand that the Hornets are one of those teams that like live and die by the 3. They're the number 1 3-point shooting team in the NBA. But for them to play the way that they did, and so LaMelo after the game in the post game press conference, he said that he thought that they ran too many set plays. He wanted a more free flowing game. So now he's throwing his coach under the bus, who has been
really like that.
a great coach for them this year. He completely turned that team around to a legitimate team. The one thing that I've seen on social media since the game is, all these like Hornets sites and all these like on Facebook specifically like Hornets, accounts. They're like, oh well, the Hornets had such a great season. We can't wait for next year, whatever. And I'm like, all I can think was it really that great of a season?
Well, I think after this last game, I actually didn't know how to think about it either, as far as like within the view of like how do you go into next year. Like it was a great season, but I feel bad about it all of a sudden because that loss was terrible.
Well, you expected them to make the actual playoffs because they played so damn well for the second half of the season. And granted, they finished with 44 regular season wins this year, which is a huge jump from the last 3 seasons that they had.
Right.
But in 2021 and 2022, they had, or maybe 2020 and 2021, they played in the play-in tournament, right? And in the play-in tournament, they lost, right? And then in the last 3 years before this, they were like the 13 seed, the 12 seed, maybe 11 seed, and they completely missed the play-in tournament in general. But even before the play-in tournament started, I think in 2019 or 2020, they were teetering on that 9 seed, 10 seed, so they were just still missing the playoffs, right? And they were a lottery pick. They were always just good enough to be at the end of the lottery, but they were never bad enough to get a great draft pick. And I know that they were able to get LaMelo at number 3, and they were able to get Khan at number 4. They were able to get Brandon Miller at number 2. Like I know that they have these high draft picks. I understand that. But the thing is that whenever they played before the play-in tournament, they played they were always teetering on this level of being good or not good.
Right.
And so all these people that keep commenting, they're like, oh, what an exciting season. I really want them, not that I want them, but, what an exciting season that they had. I can't wait for next year to happen. this is such a positive step in the right direction. And you know what? It is a positive step in the right direction, but the season still ended the exact same way that the last 6 seasons have ended for them, which is missing the playoffs.
Would you still feel that way if it was like a 1-point loss?
Yeah, I think I
Right.
would, because if you just look at the totality of where they finished the season, right? Even if they lost the Magic by 1, maybe it's a little bit of a moral victory, but I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at it the next day, they still lost in the play-in tournament and they didn't make the playoffs. And now
Right.
they have the longest playoff drought in the NBA
Oh, wow.
of 10 years. Last time they made it was when Kemba was there. Kemba
Right.
Walker, who is now a coach. He had a whole career with the Knicks. He had a whole career with the Celtics.
That's true.
He retired. Like he's completely gone, and that's the last time that they made the playoffs. It's the same fucking story over and over again. And like, I know that people are trying to take moral victories out of it, but I'm sick and tired of watching this fucking team do the same thing every damn year.
Well, I think they have that feeling because they're thinking on to next year. Like now they think that they have something to build on. I mean, I get that it's the same outcome this year, but I think the future years, there's more to be excited about next year and the years after that.
Okay, so I will say,
Whereas I did not have that vibe before.
I feel like I'm having a very like negative outlook on the Hornets going forward. And I think I'm only saying that for the fact that they have always had guys that are injured, and that's the reason why they've had really shitty like 19-win seasons, 22-win seasons, 30-win seasons, because they have a ton of injuries on a regular basis. Brandon Miller was hurt for a while, like last year and the year before. LaMelo is notorious for being hurt. Obviously, we don't know what Khan is, but Khan seems like he'll be healthy, whatever. But these guys always get hurt. And like, okay, so they put it together for a half a season when they played, and we see now what they can do when they're fully healthy.
Right.
But what signs are you getting that the injuries won't happen again?
Oh, I guess I'm not thinking about the injuries. I'm just thinking about the players. Like when you look at the roster, it's just overall better than it has been in years past. Because we still have Khan, still has years to develop. But Brandon Miller's still young. I mean, LaMelo is still young, even though he's been
super young, yeah.
here for a few years. It just seems like there's hope. There's something to build on in general.
You're taking a very positive stance on this, I think.
Well, I'm trying to be devil's advocate and to calm you down a little bit because you seem a little
I'm like pissed off.
fired up.
I'm pissed that they missed the playoffs again.
I mean, it sucks that it was that bad of a loss. That's the part that I'm upset about. It just sucks to go out like that. It almost makes it seem like you don't know how to consider next year.
And we're basing that off of one game. Like, we're
Right.
basing all of this off of one game. I know that you're looking at the positives of what they did in the second half, right? I don't know why I'm focusing on how, like, in all honesty, they didn't play that well against Miami either.
Right.
Like a team, so Miami did beat them 3-1 in the regular season, even though Miami was the 10 seed in this play-in tournament.
Right.
So I thought that the Hornets only won that game because of a miracle Kobe White 3-pointer with 10 seconds to go in regulation to get that game to overtime, and they were down by 1 with 10 seconds to go before that LaMelo miracle shot that he made drive into the lane, and then Miles Bridges blocking the shot with like at the buzzer. They were lucky to win that game.
Right.
And then they go into Orlando and they get their ass fucking handed to them.
Well, you hear about that all the time where, like, a team barely makes it, gives everything they got, and then the next game they put up a dud. I mean, that's just like a common thing through all sports, through everything. I'm not saying that that's necessarily what happened here, because they got their asses handed to them.
They did.
It was really bad. Yeah. I mean, I really don't like if they were to have a whole series, 5 games or 7 or whatever. I don't think that every game would be like that. I feel like obviously the Hornets would win a game or 2 or whatever, in that series. But you have to hand it to the Magic. Banchero was a monster. They played really well. I don't want to take anything away from them. But I think, there's a lot of soul searching to be had by the Hornets in general.
I wonder if there was a lot of nerves going on there. Like them
so.
not having ever been really in the playoffs. Like they don't have any playoff experience. They don't have any players with playoff experience except maybe Grant Williams, who absolutely looked like dog shit in both of these games and down the stretch in the regular season. But I wonder if they just had nerves. Like, I don't know if, again, they are a 3-point shooting juggernaut, right? And they go super cold, and so the team lives and dies by that shot. But I mean, there were times when like LaMelo would hit fadeaway threes in the corner from angles that he can't make that shot. I mean, once in a while, okay, maybe it goes down, but he's taking that same crappy angle with the same shitty shot with the. It's such a low percentage shot. I mean, the one thing
about in this game that just
in
happened?
this game he had a couple of those, and I know he's notorious for like those back-footed, fadeaway threes from like 15 feet past the 3-point line, and he hits those on a good clip. But when you have nerves going in there, and you're kind of like they look at some point like he's just chucking up threes just for the hell of it.
Well, that's what it's gonna look like if they're not going in, and you're a team that lives and dies on the outside like that. Yeah. And the Magic just took it right to him. Yeah. It seemed like Banchero was just like a monster in there. He looked like LeBron James. Yeah. It seemed like there were other players that were just able to dominate in the paint. They'd be able to back them down, turn around, hit a difficult jumper, get their shot off. It seemed like everything was falling. Yeah. It was just they were just beating the paint. They were, the Magic showed good energy on defense, and the Hornets didn't really have an answer for it. And then when the Magic would turn it into points, I think they'd hang their heads, and it just got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, there was a timeout where they coming out of timeout. I think whatever Amazon Prime or whatever video service had the game on. They were coming out of timeout, and they played the sound clips from the timeouts from the coach, and he's like, guys, like, they were able to go up by 30. Why can't we make a 30-point run? Right. Fair enough. Good assessment. Sure. And I really like Charles Lee's like motivation tactics. He looks a little meek at times to me, but then when you hear him in these timeout situations and some locker room talk, like he actually is a very, very good coach. Right. I think that he is a really good coach for this team, and he is motivating a lot of these guys to be better. I just think that there needs to be a little bit of change on this team. I feel like the Magic really in one game exposed everything that the Hornets need changes with, which is down low, post players and players in the paint. And they have Ryan Kalkbrenner, who they got in the draft. It was Kahn and Kalkbrenner that they got in the first round. And Kalkbrenner had a nice year. I mean, but he's still a rookie, a lanky kid. He reminds me of like Frank Kaminsky when he got drafted, just like that type, except a better rebounder, maybe a little bit taller. So like there's some skill there, but I feel like they might need to go out and maybe get somebody that can help them out down low, get some more rebounds. Right. Whenever they're going ice cold from three.
I mean, at least it made it glaringly obvious what they have to do. And they have to get bigger. They have to get a presence down low. It seems like they can still live and die on the perimeter, but they have to be able to have an answer for some teams, as far as the physicality and the ability to score points and, maintain the paint.
So I have a wild trade idea.
Okay.
That could maybe improve this team for next season. And I don't know, I haven't really thought the entire deal through fully from the perspective of what the Hornets would have to give up, which I'm sure that would have to be a decent amount. But the Hornets do have really good draft capital in the next few drafts. I think they have like something like, I think they have multiple first round picks for the next few years coming up on some of the deals that they made. And they have tons of second round picks to give out because they've been making smaller trades to gain second round picks. Okay. Bear with me for a sec, okay? Yeah. The Warriors just got knocked out also in the play-in tournament. They were the 10 seed, and Steve Kerr said that he has to contemplate whether he's going to come back at some point or not. And so, also, one of the things that he said is eras for teams come and go, and he's had his era with the Warriors, 4 championships. Yeah. Great era. They're one of the greatest teams in our generation, besides like the Bulls and that type of stature. 4 championships, with the same core, but that core is getting old,
Right.
right? If Kerr doesn't come back, and and he's on an expiring contract, so he's with, he said he's gonna have to talk to the owners, and see what, if he wants to come back or not. If he doesn't, I think that there's an opportunity for the Hornets to maybe look into a trade for Steph Curry and Draymond Green as a package deal together.
I didn't know that you would also include Curry in that.
Well, Curry
I knew
would
you
be
were gonna
Curry
say
would be
Draymond.
the guy that I would say that they would probably go after, because he has said that he would love to play 1 year in Charlotte because he grew up here. He went to school at Davidson. He's down the road from here. His dad played here. His dad's legacy is here. His brother played here for a year. And I think he's always said that he wants to play at least 1 year in Charlotte. Now, he's 36 years old at this point.
Right.
Okay, so he's getting to 37. He's getting to the end of his career. He's coming to the twilight years, but he's also obviously one of he's the greatest 3-point shooter of all time. Some deal for him and Draymond to come here and play maybe 2 years here.
But who are you gonna give up?
Well, exactly. So this is the hard part, right? So you would have to give
Brandon
you would have
Miller
to
is
give
what you're
them.
thinking of.
I think Brandon Miller is untouchable at this point. Like
Okay,
LaMelo
good.
and Brandon Miller, I think are untouchable. Khan
Okay.
is not. I know he's in the Rookie of the Year conversation, but I think Brandon Miller is an untouchable. I think LaMelo Ball is an untouchable. Although his contract is gigantic, and he's going to be due for another contract pretty soon here, a supermax. Maybe I really don't want to see Khan go,
Right.
but maybe give up some first round picks, to make a playoff run and getting playoff experience with these young kids that don't have any playoff experience and bring them in somehow. You give up 4 first round picks in the future within the next 5 years. You give up first round picks for the next 5 years, and it might fuck you in the end. For the second, you bring in these guys in for 2 years, and then the year 3 and 4 you don't have a first round
Right.
pick. But I mean, maybe there's some sort of a something to be worked out there for those guys.
Right. I mean, it seems like that puts a lot of pressure on the next couple years. I mean, it's win now or never. And I feel like that would the players that stay there, like Miller, Ball, I feel like it would perhaps stunt their growth a little bit, especially when it comes to Miller. When you have a guy like Curry on the team, and then the overall complexion of the team is that different when you add Draymond Green as well. I feel like it could impact, depending on who's traded, who's still left, because there's a lot of good young pieces. I feel like it would impact their ability to develop, and it would change the identity, and there'd be some searching. If it didn't work out, it could be a colossal flop, sadly. I mean, I love Curry. I think he's amazing. It'd be awesome to see him here in town again.
He's a guy that would sell out the arena every night because he's here.
Sure.
And that would be a huge deal for the city.
But, bringing it back to the excitement that everyone still has, even though we lost by that much and that game was terrible, it's because there are so many good young pieces in place. And it's just a couple moves here and there that don't take away from the core, that are just signings, that are just whatever, that I think could bring it to that next level.
Yeah. I think the addition
Plus,
of
they just
Kobe
gotta get
White
older.
was a huge deal at the trade deadline.
Definitely.
He is the leader of that second unit. And there was whenever somebody gets in foul trouble, he comes in and he plays very well. And I know that I believe he's a free agent coming up here. That's a great guy to re-sign. He's a North Carolina guy. He went to UNC. He's from the area. I think he might want to stay. He'd be a great guy to keep. I don't know. It's a wild idea that I had, that I was thinking, maybe at first I was just thinking, why not just try to bring in Steph?
Sure. I mean,
But then I was thinking, those guys probably want to play together because they've been together for 15 years,
Right.
and they have a great connection. Draymond would be a great addition to the middle of this lineup, bring an enforcer,
Sure.
a bruiser that gives legitimacy to a team in the East. Where there really aren't teams that are bruising teams.
what's his age?
He's in the same boat. He's about the 36
I
age.
thought so, yeah. I mean, at what point are they not going to be as good as they are now?
I mean, it's probably
gonna
now
be
already.
soon.
It's probably now already. They're not as good as they were when they were winning championships.
But I mean, at what point are they going to have that big drop? You know, it seems like Curry still got more.
Yeah.
Draymond will be an enforcer for his whole career.
Right.
He'll set the tone, but there's going to be parts of their game that kind of fall off a little bit on some level.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing
And then
is,
you got to work them into the offense that we had that was so successful at points this year.
Yeah. Well, when you look at guys like the two of them, Draymond and Steph specifically, right? Like an enforcer like Draymond, that as you get older, that skill set kind of stays because your body is still your body, right? Like you're still going to be an enforcer no matter how old you are.
And it's
you
like
still
an
have,
attitude.
Yeah, it's an attitude thing. And Steph, as a 3-point shooter, I mean, your shooting ability doesn't go away. It's just the ability to like get open for those shots.
Well, your ability to get that shot, to create the shot, which
Right,
is part of what he was so great at.
Yeah, it's not like Jordan and like Kobe. Like I'm sure Kobe would have had he stayed in and he retired I think at the right time. If he played another 2-3 years, maybe he doesn't have that same explosiveness to the basket.
Right.
But a 3-point shooter, I mean, they just stand around the perimeter.
But it's not like Steph didn't have handles and creativity to drive. I mean, he would just end up in a layup and not a dunk as often.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he's a good overall player.
Yeah.
He creates a shot. I agree that because of the style he is, perhaps he'd be able to maintain a career at a high level for a bit longer than a player that drives the paint often. But I feel like that kind of a trade would put a lot of pressure, or it would be exciting, but it would be like, okay, let's make it happen. And then if it doesn't quite happen, it just seems like it would be deflating.
Yeah. I think I'm just pissed off right now about this team, about the way that the lack of effort that they put up against Orlando. I think whenever the draft comes around, and they'll be in the lottery again, obviously. I'll probably change my mind and I'll be excited about them again. I'm just so down on them right now because of the effort that they put up against. The effort that they put against Miami, which I thought was okay. Mm-hmm. And then the effort that they put up or didn't put up against Orlando, I thought was very, very disappointing. But another disappointing team that I really wanted to get into was I'm wearing a Mets hat here. I'm a huge Mets fan. The Mets today got to their 11th straight loss. Yeah, they started off the season 7-4. They are today, as of today, they are 7-15 and 7 games behind the Braves for first place in the National League East. It is mid-April, and they are already this far behind on an 11-game losing streak. That is unheard of unless you are a team like the Rockies or the White Sox or like some really, really terrible team. For a team with this much money, this much talent, this much offensive firepower, even though Juan Soto is out, 11 straight losses is unfathomable.
Within the first 22 games of the year? I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't really expect it. I mean, it sucks.
That's crazy you just said that, by the way. 22, like, putting it into... I know I mentioned their record, but, like, putting it into perspective that they've lost 11 straight out of only 22 games they played is crazy.
But they also had a free fall last year because at one point they were doing really well.
Yeah, the second half they missed the playoffs and then on the tiebreaker to the Reds because they had a free fall.
So, like, this poor play isn't just this year. I mean, this is, like, historic. But it's a continuation from last year, and that's the part that I think is the most scary about it. Because, I mean, there's stats about this streak that are just unheard of, as far as they have like a 500 OPS during this, less than 2 runs a game during this, shut out 3 times. Yep. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff that
and they lost 2-1 today, by the way. So so they put up 1 home run today. That's it.
So that's 4 over the last 11 games.
Yeah.
3. Mm-hmm. It's terrible. But when you look at the numbers, it's like at times baseball is baseball, and everybody's having a hard time at the same time. I mean, the one good thing about the fact that this is happening now is that at least there's all this time left to make up for it. I think the odds of them making the playoffs now are slim to none, perhaps. But if you're going to have this happen, I'd rather have it happen early than late in the season.
I completely agree on that part.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes,
If you're trying to be positive.
Right, and I'm trying to take some positives out of it. You know, it's funny because I'm always I'm on a group text with Bill that did the preview episode with us for the Giants and the Mets, and also with my buddy Rashim, and you know we have conversations about the Mets literally every single day. We talk about them every day, and so Rashim has been very negative about, you know, even in the off season he was very negative. He's like, we should do this deal and this deal, and even I think sometimes he gets into like a negative space, and so I'm trying to stay very positive about this team, but it's becoming increasingly more difficult. And so the one thing that you said obviously is that it's early enough in the season for them to like try to come back. They still have 140 plus games to play. They have about 140 games left to play here. I just feel like there's no end in sight. Like I know Juan Soto is missing from the lineup because he's injured, but you can't tell me that the offense is this pathetically sad without one player. They signed Bo Bichette, who was a guy that hit like 320 last year or whatever it was. He's supposed to be the clutch guy.
He's like a career 290 something.
Right. Jorge Polanco was on the IL also, so his contract may work out to become like a Jed Lowry type of Mets contract, which is fucking terrible. But I mean, they like Brent Beatty. They're relying on him to become, to take the next step forward. Francisco Alvarez, they're relying on him to take the next step. Vientos,
who's played well at times this year.
He has, and he's got 4 home runs this year so far in 22 games. Mark Vientos is another guy that they're looking to have another bounce back year. He had a great first season, a really shitty season, and then you're looking at his third season, and you're like, okay, well, the sophomore slump, whatever. Like maybe he'll get out of it. He'll get back to the 27 home run hitter that he was in his rookie season. But even without those young guys, the top of their lineup has an MVP caliber player who has finished in the top 10 in MVP voting for the last 4 years, in Francisco Lindor, and until like 4 games ago, he had 1 home run and 1 RBI.
But that's probably not going to last.
Nor
will Bichette hit this bad for the whole year. I mean, I'm not sure if he's even doing that bad, honestly.
Bichette's doing like okay.
Right.
He's doing okay.
And they'll get Soto back. They'll get Polanco back. Their pitching's decent.
Kodai Senga looks like absolute dog shit,
which I did not expect. I thought he was going to come out and do great. So I mean, that's at least it's another reason as to why they suck so bad. Like Vientos has showed some promise here and there this year. Looks like he was going to bounce back, but he's coming off a bad week before the home run, really.
Yeah.
They're all playing bad at the same time. It's a New York market. It's historic. It's 10 games within the first 20, whatever.
11 now. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's really bad. But there's a term that's used in fantasy circles, maybe in just general sports in general. General sports in general. How's that? Which is positive regression. I think it's positive.
Interesting.
I think it's positive. It's like,
well, negative regression would be just
bad,
negatives,
right?
And that's just terrible.
So, like, if Bobby Witt comes out and for the first 20 games he's got 1 home run, he's batting 180, he's got, he's bad. Are you really thinking that he's going to be shitty the whole year?
Right.
Because he's Witt, and when you have a collection of players who all have a track record on some level of, success in the MLB, part of you has to realize that it's just kind of a coincidence. Everybody sucks at the same time, and then it gets elevated because you're in the New York market. You don't have your leader in Soto. There's new pieces here who sucked elsewhere recently, who are sucking here now, and the guy from the White Sox, I can't think of his name right now.
Luis Robert Jr.
Right. He's not doing anything, is he?
He's been playing. He's their best player at the moment. I actually forgot about him for a second, but he is he's one of their best players at the moment. Yeah.
He's
playing
well.
He's playing well enough. Yeah.
Thank God, because if he was bad, then I'd be very concerned. I mean, at least there's that, the fact that they bet on him and he's coming through on whatever level. Bichette's gonna come around. I mean, Beatty, I don't really know what to expect. Vientos, I don't know what to expect, because as they get thrust into, like, starter roles as players are out of the lineup, it seems like I don't know if I would trust them to really be full-time players. You know, it just seems like they have to get healthy. Their rotation has to kind of get on track. You know, I don't think they're going to be this bad the whole year.
They can't be. Otherwise, they're going to win like 30 games this year, which would be fucking terrible. This isn't the first time that, and any Mets fans, listening to this this episode here can attest to this, but this isn't the first time where it seems like Mets players are all struggling at the same exact time in the lineup. There were times when, a couple years ago when Pete sucked, Nimmo sucked, Lindor sucked, and this is before Soto came on board. I mean, Vientos sucked. It's just, I feel like I don't see any other teams in baseball where every single player struggles at the exact same time for the exact same length of time.
Right.
None of them seem to break out. Like, they break out and they'll have 12 runs and all of them will hit great in one game. And then they'll all slump in the next game.
True.
It's so like they're so hot and cold, but together.
It's true, honestly. I mean, I'm not a Mets fan, but I've noticed that about them. I don't know if it's because, I pay attention on some level because of you. But yeah, I've noticed that they all get cold at the same time. I think
it's a crazy
weird
thing. Like, I've never seen. Have you ever seen any team do that? Like, do your Giants players ever get cold together for this amount of time?
Yeah, there's been times like that. It's probably true for all teams, but when you're the Mets and you $385 million or something like that.
Something in the crazy, 350 or something.
Like that's what you pay for is to have more players that are more steady that bat around 300 or 280 or get walks and get on base and keep it moving along. Go on stretches where they can carry a team. Like the Giants don't really have. Well, they have a couple. But there's some teams that don't have players that can kind of carry a team for a little bit while the other guys.
Okay, so I completely disagree with this point.
Okay.
Only for the fact that David Stearns went out of his way this offseason to sign guys that are steady hitters.
Right.
He signed Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
He's going to be my prime example because he is the best actual batting average hitter that he signed. Mm-hmm. Marcus Semien, we all knew why he got traded for. It's because of his defense, although his defense hasn't been all that great this year either. But there's a reason why David Stearns signed this specific group of players. It's because there are slump buster guys here, right? He also got Freddie Peralta into the rotation as a possible ace level pitcher as a slump buster. Mm-hmm. And none of these guys are slump busting like they're supposed to be. Right. They all suck at the same time, and it is very concerning for the fact that you build a roster, and I really like David Stearns, but you build a roster that has players that are supposed to be like anti this deep shit that they're in, and they're not. It seems like no play. Like there has to be something else going on here.
What's funny is the guy who's less steady, more recently, is the guy who's doing well apparently, and the guy from the White Sox,
Luis Robert Jr.
Yeah.
And he's been hitting like shit when he was with the White Sox, but
right.
he changed his scenery, and he's been good.
I mean, I like the moves they made for that reason. I like the fact that Bichette's a steady player, that Simeon's a steady player. Polanco you didn't mention, but I know you're considering him too. He's a steady player,
steady,
high average. And I think that'll turn on some level. I feel like when it comes to New York, you have kind of a band of players that are different. You subtract Pete Alonso, you add these players, even though they've succeeded for more than 1 year elsewhere, they come to this city. They don't have Juan there. It's a team of players that don't really know who each other are yet as a team.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of pressure in that city. And then I also think that once they start to win some games, that might catch fire as well, because they're going to have a leader. They're going to have Juan Soto. They're going to have a pitching staff on some level.
Kind of go on a 2024 type run that they
sure.
had.
And they'll have that positive regression thing that I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah. And that's the hope. I mean, in all honesty, they can't get any fucking worse than they are right now. Like, they can't get worse.
Right, but with that comes also, like, whenever this happens, as a GM or whoever, perhaps this is, like, a thing that they all do anyway, and if they don't, they should. You have to think of it as an opportunity. It's almost like in fantasy. If you are sucking ass and you're in a keeper league, you should trade off whoever you got to retool for the next years, to get draft picks or players or whatever, to set yourself up. The Mets right now will likely not make the playoffs. Maybe give yourself a little bit of a run, to see if it's going to shake out. Maybe a week or two after Juan gets back, but then decide what are we going to do. You have to start to set yourself up for the future on some level.
I mean, there's going to come a time when Juan Soto, their superstar player, is gonna look at this franchise and say, okay, we're making all the right moves, and on paper we look good, but like there's a fucking mess here.
Right.
Like, how do I offload myself from this squad? And there are fans also that are very disgruntled with Francisco Lindor.
Right.
There's I think a lot of dissension happened. Like there's talk that Nimmo got traded because his wife and Lindor's wife didn't get along, and it had to do with some political type stuff, because I think Lindor's wife is very like involved in specific political types of discussions, and I think Nimmo has a very like specific way of looking at politics because he's from Wyoming and they have their own way of thinking about things, and his wife she has her own ideas, and so I think politics got in the way of that. However, I am getting pretty sick and tired of watching Mets fans on social media shit on the Mets so hard. And I know I'm shitting on the Mets right now, but I'm so sick and tired of Mets fans. I know it's been 22 games, but I'm sick and tired of them. We had a first baseman. We had this first baseman. I forgot what his name is, but he was so great. And they're not forgetting his name. It's just a joke, whatever. They're making, they're being facetious or whatever. But like, we had a guy. We could have re-signed him. He's a great hitter. He's this and this. We had an outfielder. He was great, and this and that. Like these guys left. They got David Stearns got rid of them for a reason.
Right.
Like Nimmo left and got traded because of run prevention. And I think I like the idea of what David Stearns was trying to do, and I still think that Marcus Semien is a good player. Mm-hmm. Maybe not offensively like he used to be, like the MVP caliber Marcus Semien that he was with Toronto.
Right.
But Nimmo's a good player. He just wasn't, the he wasn't like the it factor. He wasn't like the X factor for them. No. And Pete wasn't like, he's on the decline of his career, in my opinion. We talked about this last week also in the last episode. Like Pete hit 272 last year with like 35, 36 home runs or whatever, and it's because Juan Soto was in the lineup protecting him, right? But Pete really wasn't like, it's not just the Mets that didn't re-sign him. It's not just the Mets that didn't sign him to this 5-year deal that the Orioles significantly, I think, overpaid for.
Right.
It's not just them. There are 29 or whatever number other teams that didn't give a shit about signing Pete.
Right.
There are teams that need first baseman, and they didn't even look at Pete as the guy. So why do the Mets have to be that? Because he played there and he's their homegrown guy, rather than looking at him as like a true free agent and saying, is he the best for our team?
Right.
And fans are so pissed off. I'm so sick and tired of reading like Instagram posts and on SNY and on the Mets Instagram page and on Facebook. They're like, oh well, we had Nimmo, we had Pete Alonso. Just root for the fucking team that you have now.
Yeah, right.
Like, stop living in the past. I'm so sick of watching these people be so mad that like these players are here. Just follow your fucking team.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you lose 10 games in a row, when you're historically bad. It's this market, I think there's going to be a lot of thoughts out there that are, going to be negative as far as what the GM has done. Right now, this is on the GM. This is on, the construction of the team. It's also on Mendoza as well. Mm-hmm. But you say that because you kind of believe in the signings he made.
Yeah.
But they're not really coming through right now. I feel like in general they will. Apart from Robert.
Listen,
Jr.
when you looked at that roster, when you as a non-Mets fan looked at that roster at the beginning of the season, offensively, forget the pitching stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Let's look at it offensively. When you looked at that lineup and the deals that they made, like that's a long lineup.
Yeah,
it's very steady. They have really good hitters. I mean, if you look at it from top to bottom, you've got MVP caliber players at the top.
Right.
You have guys with high batting averages in the middle. You have a mix of like young athletic guys that can make positive, that have had positive success and can make positive contributions that were really, really good prospects at the bottom of the lineup. I'm just having trouble understanding why this is such a this team looked dangerous on paper.
I think it looks better than the lineup did with Pete in it.
I agree.
It looks better.
I agree.
Which is why this is a surprise, and I think we should just look at it that way. I think it's just an outlier in some sort of way. I mean, they definitely have to try to turn around because today's now 11. But I feel like it's a little bit of a fluke. They don't have their captain. I feel like it'll come around on some level.
It's funny you say captain, because I think that may be one of the reasons why Lindor is struggling a little bit. And we'll kind of wrap up with this topic here at the end here. But Lindor was supposed to be by all means and accounts, he was supposed to become the next captain of the Mets. And he was going to be given that title. Every fan wanted him to become the captain of the Mets.
Right.
And he was expecting it. During the offseason, Steve Cohen, the Mets owner, said, we are not going, on my watch, we're not going to have any captains at all, ever.
Okay.
We're just not going to do it. He said it's a silly thing to have. We don't need it. And I said, okay, that's fine. Fair enough. All of a sudden, this team seems like it has had a complete shift in mindset. Like, we were going to give the captaincy to Lindor, and now I feel like he's losing the clubhouse, and Soto has become the leader of this team. And you mentioned, even you're not a Mets fan,
right?
So, but you see that the captain level of mindset is with Soto, and maybe it's because he's the highest paid player on the team. But you said that just now for a specific reason, and there has to be a reason for that.
Part of that's also because he's not there right now, and they're without something significant. Obviously, he's a significant player just based on what he can do, his impact on the game. But just by virtue of what's happening, it almost seems like he is the default captain. I didn't know that he said that. I hope that it wasn't an indictment on Lindor. The fact that he would say that.
It shouldn't, because he's a great player.
Right.
He's a great player.
It seems like it should just. Hopefully, it would be perceived as just we don't need a captain. We're all great. They have a lot of vets there now.
Yeah.
Even young vets like Bichette, older vets like
Marcus Semien. Yep.
But they're in a bad spot. It's easy to point at a lot of different things: the loss of Pete, the injuries, not having a captain, Mendoza. This happened last year. There's a lot of ways that you can point your finger. But again, I just think in this market, in this city, not our city, but
in
New
the
York,
city,
it seems like it can catch fire all the same.
New York City is known as the city. If anybody says the city, it's New York City.
Right.
So, anyways. Okay.
So I feel like this is not who they are. They had like a 500 OPS. That's ridiculous. That's on base plus slugging. Many players have a 500 slugging alone. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just not who they are as an offense, not who they are as a team. Things tend to spiral out of control when this happens, especially when the pressure's like that. Hopefully, they start to win before Soto comes back, because I feel like when he comes back, if they're still losing a lot, there's going to be that added pressure. And if they don't start to win games and have like something to hold on to, it could get even worse, perhaps.
Like I felt like the way that the roster is constructed is that they're a little bit like Soto proof.
Right. Like they would be able to sustain an offense.
Right.
More so.
Right. Even if you're not winning every game, you would win some games because Soto's not in the lineup. Right. I mean, you shouldn't be on an 11-game losing streak just because. I know he's the best hitter in the lineup and he's a generational talent, but he shouldn't be the reason why you're losing 11 games. Right. I mean, you have an MVP type of player in Lindor at the top of your lineup. You have Marcus Semien. You have Jorge Polanco. You have Bo Bichette. You have Luis Robert Jr.
Guys that have done it for years and years and years.
Right. You have Freddie Peralta in your rotation. You have David Peterson in your rotation. You have Kodai Senga in your rotation. This is a good team.
Right. I mean, I'm not sold on Peterson. I have to see him take the next step. I mean, I know you like him as a back end,
I like him as a back end. But the Mets are counting him on as a second or third starter,
which is the part that I think is a little bit of a troublesome thing to do. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a more consistent lineup, at least on paper. I can't imagine that they would just suck for the whole rest of the year. I feel like each of those players has not done well except for Robert Jr.
Yeah.
They're all going to play well. Apparently, it's all going to come at one point. They're probably going to win some games like 16-4, 20-3, or whatever, and then it's going to be like, shit, that sucks because we're getting all these runs. We don't need all these runs. We just need a few runs.
Yeah, you don't want to waste runs for like a hot streak.
Meanwhile, right now they're losing 2-1.
Yeah, I just can't wait for like the dog days of summer when we're just winning games at some point, and we're getting into like that mundane part of the season when you're like, oh, man, these games are, I'm obligated to watch them because I'm a fan.
Right.
But like, and we're winning, and you're having positive thoughts. I can't wait to get to that part because this part sucks.
Well, as a non-fan of the Mets, but a baseball fan, I feel like there is another part to the story that's going to be a bounce back on some level. I don't think it's going to be all Juan Soto either. I feel like there's going to be a bounce back. I think Senga's got too much talent unless he gets injured or whatever. I feel like there's too much talent on offense. They do have a really steady offense, like we said. They're consistent typically, and eventually they're all just going to hit at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thanks for indulging me on this Mets conversation here, talking about my boys. Thank you guys all for tuning in here. Please follow us on YouTube. Why do I say please? Like I'm begging. If you like the content that we have and you like the back and forth that we have,
it's good to be nice.
Yeah, it is. But I mean,
what's
if
the
you guys,
alternative?
I guess the alternative is to not listen to us.
Telling them exactly what to do.
Follow us, subscribe to us on YouTube.
Right.
No, I mean, if you guys like the content, subscribe on the YouTube channel under JNR Sports Lounge. Also follow us on Spotify under JNR Sports Lounge. Thank you guys for tuning in to episode 10. Double digits. We made it, man.
Yeah, man.
That's great. Well, we kind of made it. We'll talk about that in episode 11. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
JNR Sports Lounge.